At this point, it is my honor to make Rabbi Cohen a co-host of this meeting. And once Rabbi Cohen is a co-host of this meeting, he's now in the driver's seat. Well, me too, because I only made you a co-host. I didn't make you a host, made you the co-host. So that means that Rabbi Cohen, if you ever need to mute anyone or recognize anyone, you also have your share screen available to you. And without further ado, I'm also going to put the screen over to, I'm going to make Rabbi Cohen, if I can find him again. Yeah, here I'm going to also do one more thing for Rabbi Cohen, which Rabbi Cohen is now going to become the spotlight video. So I'm going to make him the main screen that everyone's going to be seeing. And you'll be hearing from me a little bit later on. If you want to pause at some point, Rabbi Cohen, and take a breath or whatever, you can. And I'm going to come back on like maybe about halfway through, and I'm going to plug some more of our hosts and give some more thank yous. And then at the end of the hour, sometime around 10 to 12 or so, I'll be back to do some more thank yous. So without further ado, Rabbi Meir Cohen, who the headmaster of Torah Day School of Atlanta, and there you go.
I'm going to try one more thing.
Oh, we got you now. Yeah, we got you. We hear you.
Don't get too excited. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. You're perfect.
Perfect. Okay, great. I got my speakers in too. I don't know what I've been using Zoom for so long with students. Not sure what happened there.
Okay. Welcome, Rabbi Cohen.
Good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak, and welcome everyone. This is such a creative way to get learn leading up to Shavuos. I really appreciate you coming up with such a great idea. Okay, what is strange about this right now, if I just would say that I usually make my students put their cameras on so I know they're not doing something else while we're teaching. I'm not going to say that to adults, but it is a little strange not seeing any faces. I will hope that everyone's paying attention. If not, or if I'm going too fast, going too slow, if something's not making sense, please speak up. They're able to unmute themselves, correct? Are you able to unmute yourselves, guys? No. Some. Okay. Yes, you are. Okay, great. I saw Ms. Karsh did it. Good, excellent. Okay. All right, good. So we're going to get started. I'm going to actually share a screen. The title of this Torah discussion or Torah talk is All You Need Is Love. Okay. So we're all sorted. Okay, so the first, let's start out like this. There is we're about to read a Gemara in Shabbos, which kind of starts out the idea. We're leading up to Shavuos. We received the Torah, we know, at Har Sinai, and there's so much within the Torah. There are five obviously Torah Shabbat, 5 books. There are 6 sedras, 6 orders within the oral Torah, and all the commentary. And if you go into any base medrash, you see svarim after svarim after svarim going over all the different halachas, all the things that are necessary for us to do to live as Jews and to understand what it means to be Jewish. So this particular Gemara is a very interesting Gemara, which is a famous one, but I don't know if we've read it inside before. So I'll read it with you, and I think we'll spend the time kind of going through some of the sources, because some of the sukkim and things that we're going to go through today, you've seen it, you've heard about it, but maybe we'll see it inside. So let's start over here. So I'll just can you see if I have my little hand over there, are you able to see that?
Yeah. Okay,
great, excellent. So let's read the Gemara in Shabbos. So it says, Shuv Ma'isa B'goy Echad Shaboy Lifnei Shammai. So there was one non-Jew who came in front of Shammai, and Amrlo, he says, Gayreni al Manash Tlamdeni Kol HaTorah Kula Kisha'ani Omen al Regel Achas. I will convert to Judaism, whatever it means that he wants to, whatever, but I'll convert to Judaism on condition that you teach me the entire Torah on one foot. You've heard this Gemara before, and now you get to see it inside. So he says, and so he's, he wasn't whatever. We'll go on to the next one, which is the famous one. Shammai didn't like that concept. So Bo Lifnei Hillel, and he said the same thing. Convert me. So he said back to him, Amar lo da'alcha senei lechavrach lo taveh. Whatever don't do anything that would be hated upon your friend. Anything that your friend would hate, don't do that to them. That you yourself would hate, don't do that. Zu he kol Torah kula. This is the entire Torah. The idach perushahu. This is the rest of it is all commentary, and that is it. So that's the famous Gemara where Hillel says, standing on one foot, teaches the entire Torah with these words. And of course, he gets it from a pasuk. And this is not the direct quote of the actual pasuk, but everyone understands that it comes from the pasuk, which is just down here. And I'm just going to highlight it. Oh, yeah, that worked. Awesome. No, didn't work as well as I want. But that's around about delete that highlight. Let's try that one more time. So that comes from the pasuk, which says "V'afta l'recha kamocha." Sorry, my highlighter is not working beautifully, but where it says don't take revenge, don't harbor any hatred towards your fellow person. Instead, you should love your neighbor like yourself. I am Hashem. That's where Hillel gets this, and he understands from this that that's the entire Torah all in one thing. So the first question, of course, with all the Sfarim that we have that are related to how to be a Jew, and everything, people spend their entire lives learning. They could spend the entire day learning all the time and still not know Kol Torah Kula. How is it the entire Torah is encapsulated into 3 words? What does that mean? So that's our first question I'd like to explore today. How does V'afta l'recha kamocha really teach us the entire Torah? Secondly, there's a few more questions I want to ask, and we'll go through some sources to see how those questions pan out. Okay, so let's go through the next thing that's owned here, which is within the Sefer Chinuch. We're going to scroll down. Sorry for the dizzying effect, but I got them a little bit out of order when I pasted them onto the sheet. But the Sefer Chinuch is, of course, the Sefer which goes through all 613 mitzvos and explains a little bit behind each one of them and where the root of it is and how it translates into an actual mitzvah. So let's start with the beginning of it. We're going to read through this and understand what he says is the mitzvah of V'afta l'recha kamocha, because it's not just a nice thing to be nice to your neighbor. It seems like a decent thing to do, but it's actually one of the counted mitzvahs. So mitzvahs avas Yisrael, that's what the mitzvah is. La'oev kol echad miYisrael avas nefesh, kloimer shenachmu al Yisrael v'al mamono, k'mo she'adam choymo al atzmo mamono. So he says the root of this mitzvah really is the concept of having a love for your fellow Jew in a way that shows that you have pity on him, that you are on his money, and so because it says V'afta l'recha kamocha, that's where it comes from. That's the concept. Is that you're supposed to love your fellow Jew. What's interesting is as you read through it, he mentions Rabbi Akiva, which we'll get to in a little bit. When you come down to this section over here, right? There's many mitzvahs which are connected to this. And what are they? Lo yignov memano, don't steal, don't cheat on. Lo yanaf es ishto, don't cheat on, don't have relations with someone who's married, right? Don't cause damage to someone. Now I'm going to make you dizzy again. Sorry, going back up here as we read through the Chinuch. And then he goes on to explain where this mitzvah comes from. The shorsh of mitzvah yidua, ki kamoshi asuhu b'chavero, kein yasu chavero bo, u'bezeh hayushalom bein habrios. So the root of this mitzvah really is the idea that just like you would want your friend to do to you, so too you would do to him. And with this concept of treating each other equally, so therefore you would have, that will bring shalom to the world. So this makes a lot of sense to me in thinking about the idea that we treat people nicely because it's a really important thing to do, um, and in order to keep shalom within the world. So that's the actual mitzvah. The mitzvah seems to be don't steal from people, don't cheat on each other, don't cause damage to one each other, treat people nicely, whatever it is. All the mitzvahs of Ben Adam Chavero kind of wrapped up into this, which Ben Adam Chavero means between a person and a fellow Jew, rather than the mitzvahs that do with between you and Hashem. And the way to keep order in society and peace among everyone is to do these mitzvahs. So I guess the question that I have, we don't have to read the other chinuch right now, but the question that I have is, what's love got to do with it? The idea is that there are certain actions that we're supposed to partake in how we treat our fellow Jews, with how we treat one another. And some of those things are positive that we're supposed to do to go out of our way to treat them nicely. And some of the things are written more negative, make sure not to do these things that would cause them some type of damage, either emotional or mental, emotional or physical. So why is there this need to say that we have to love everyone? Not only need, what does it even mean? It doesn't, the chinuch is saying that the practical application of Avos Yisrael is treating them nicely and not doing things that will cause them harm. And in fact, when you think about what it means to be Jewish, where does love come into it at all? Love is maybe a concept that is good for movies and it's good for romances and certain things that we might think about, but where does it have a place in Judaism really? At the end of the day, because most of our mitzvos are about calculating the things that you're supposed to do and doing them in the right way. And think about shaking lulav and esrog. You spend hours and hours possibly checking every single lulav and esrog to make sure that it's kosher based on all the things that you need. You know how much wine you're going to need for kiddush. You know when you're supposed to do things. It's all about calculating the specific actions you're supposed to take. And this seems no different. There are different actions you're supposed to avoid damage and different things which you're supposed to do to be positive towards others. So what's love got to do with it? So that's question number 2. Okay. So far we have how is the entire Torah in one pasuk, especially a pasuk that is 3 sentences, fine, and I didn't even mention this part, but that only seems to have to do with Ben Adam Lechavero, between mitzvahs between man and man, not even man and God. That's leaving out a good portion of the Torah. Secondly, what's love got to do with it? Love seems like a weird thing. Why, if the explanation is do unto others like you would have done to yourself, and therefore don't steal, do all those nice things, why would it be? Why do we have to have love involved? It should just be worded do unto your neighbor like you would have done to yourself. Okay. Question number 3. This is the concept of kamocha seems a little bit strange to me. There is the purpose of this mitzvah seems to be, according to the chinuch, to do things which cause shalom habrios, shalom ben habrios. So let me highlight that for you. Shalom ben that if we have the way a society works and the way that we can make society work is only if we have this peace among everyone, and the way to do that is to do actions that don't cause damage. So what does that have to do with how you would do it for yourself? Because each one of us has different ways in which we would want to be treated. If we want to, so for instance, I might like when I'm in a not such a great mood, for instance, maybe the way that I would like to be treated is just to be left alone. Don't talk to me. That's how I want to be treated. Other people, they're not in a great mood. They want a ton of support. Possibly they need some people to call them all the time and to talk to them, and that's how they deal with it. So you can go through almost anything within the way that we process things, the way that we like things done, and each one of us have our different needs and unique ways in which we go about life. So if you're thinking, if the mitzvah, the purpose of the mitzvah is to cause shalom, which is, I guess, you're right, don't steal, those are big things, but those are just things we can just do. But if it's the mitzvah of like thinking about other people and treating them the right way. So wouldn't that be dependent upon who the person is? In fact, someone might like being treated negatively. I have a son who's now 18 years old, and so he went through, just a little story about him. Sorry, I see. So he was on a sports team when he was in middle school. I think he was like 7th grade. And the middle school boy, he was driven home from one of the football games. They had a flag football league. He was driven home from one of the football games. And the mother who drove him home came to us and said, is Akiva okay? I'm slightly concerned. Now, this is a mother who only has daughters. So she never had a boy, and for some reason she got I don't know how she got in the carpool, but she got the privilege of bringing everyone home from this game, or lots of people home from this game. So we said, why? What's going on? Well, it just seemed like everyone was making fun of him. I wasn't sure what was going on in the car. So she had never heard anything like this. So when I spoke to Akiva about it afterwards, a big laugh. Anyone who knows Akiva, he's really well liked by everyone, and he thought it was funny. And the idea was that they would say things that were negative. He would say things that were negative back. And that was just their way of bantering back and forth for a middle school boy. What's that? Bantering back and forth as a middle school boy. And anyone who's been around middle school boys, especially these days, sees that. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it might be fun to be called this name or that name or this name, and then being able to call it back or not. So the kamocha is a very interesting point, because how you're treated, how people treat you may have nothing to do with what you want to be done, unless there's a prescribed way to do it. But the kamocha just seems a weird way to say it, because who says it should be like you want to be treated? Everyone is unique in how they want to be treated. Okay, so those are the 3 questions. No one has their video on, so I have no idea whether or not that made sense or not, but I will assume I'll review them very quickly. The question number 1, why all of it in 3 words, the entire Torah, the concept of love, what's love got to do with it, and the idea of kamocha doesn't seem right here. Let's just prescribe how we're supposed to treat each other, not why should it have anything to do with how you want to be treated. Okay. Those are the questions. Let's go through. Good, I said enough time. Some people turn their videos on. Thank you. Let's go through some of the meforshim that are written on this pasuk, and maybe we can come up with some of these answers with them. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, so v'tam v'at l'recha kamocha. So says the Ramban. What is the reason that we have this? It's a havlaga. This is a little bit. It's surprising, because ki lo yikabel lev ha'adam sheyov es chavero ka'avto. A person is not able to accept, with lev ha'adam, with his full heart, that he will love his friend ki ahavto, like he loves his own soul, like he loves himself. So that's another question he's asking. How is it possible for someone to give over of themselves the way that he would love himself? For sure, you love yourself more, no? We know from Rabbi Akiva, the same one who says Torah, which we haven't gone into yet, that your life should come before other people's lives. So how is it should you equate the love you have for someone else to the love you have for yourself? Okay, so what is the main issue here? We don't have to read through this entire Ramban, but essentially what he's saying, I'll sum it up for you because this is a long one. I don't think we have time to go through every piece of it. But what he's essentially ends up saying is that there are aspects of each one of us that we should love, right? That everyone has something that they're good at. One person might be really good at earning a lot of money. One person might be really good at learning Torah. One person might be really good at chesed. Everyone has something that they're good at and some things that they're not as good at. When you know yourself, you know that you have things you're really amazing at, and you also know the things that you're not so good at. And sometimes just the understanding of you don't love yourself any less based on your faults, right? Typically, people with a good self-esteem don't love themselves any less based on the faults that they have. They love their strengths, and they appreciate those. And the ones who are healthy, emotionally healthy individuals typically love their own strengths. So the Ramban is saying that the kamocha is to say, he says like this: what does it mean to love someone else like yourself? To look at them and say, I have strengths and you have strengths. You have strengths that are you have strengths which are which can be helpful to you and let you be a successful person in any way that we're defining that. And I have the strengths that are good for me. So recognize that each one of us are different, and therefore I love you like I love myself. Basically, what he's saying is it's a way to avoid jealousy, because one thing we can have a tendency possibly to do is to look at someone and say, "Wow, I love the way that they do that, and I love the way they do that," and it can hurt your self-esteem in some ways because you like so much of what they're experiencing, and you forget your own goodness. So what he's suggesting that this mitzvah is all about is loving that, knowing that everyone has a place, and that my feeling towards you is based on the fact that you have strengths, and therefore I also have positive strengths about me. I don't have jealousy, and I lift up my own self-esteem based on how I feel about you, and knowing that you have things that are good at and things that you're not so good at. I have things that I'm good at, things that I'm not so good at. There's a very interesting study done with this concept somewhat recently in the last few years. There's a meditation device called loving kindness meditation, or LKM. So they were studying some concepts. Some of it is about thinking about others, and so part of LKM is thinking about others. So they did a study where they took university students and split them into two different groups. So one group was they had to go. Both of them went around the university looking at others, and they would judge them in some way, shape, or form. So one group were asked to somehow judge people, to say what was wrong with them possibly, and how they themselves were better. Find things that said, I'm better than you based on this and this and this. That's how they viewed, they're supposed to view them. And then write about it afterwards, whatever. And then the other group was supposed to look at people and have have ways to look at them, to say, to wish them well, to notice something good about what they were wearing, something like that. There were actually a bunch of different groups within there. Some were looking at their what they were wearing. Some were just giving them positive thoughts about what they thought about them. Regardless of what the thing was, the two groups were, I looking at you and thinking about myself being better than you for X reason, X, Y, and Z. That was one group. And the other group was, I'm looking at you and I'm wishing you well based on how you are. What they found was that the group that wished others well felt better about themselves than the group that put the others down. Now, when you and it was a huge statistic difference between the two of them. So when we are concentrating on looking at someone and saying, I see what's good about you and I wish you well, so then we feel better about ourselves. When we do it the opposite, so this is what the Ramban is saying. Years and years and years before the study, the Ramban is saying that when we are able to look at someone and say, I am like you because you have strengths and I have strengths. Okay, so that is that's the Ramban. So that's one aspect of kamocha that we'll hold on to. Okay, so let's table that for a second and come back to then do another one. So the Or Chaim also comments on this. So he says, we'll skip through how he does the first part, and we'll start with the Yatareka Kamocha right over here, right? So what this explanation, he says, Peres ki Hashem chofet shetiye oya b'riyachu kabocha. Ve'im ata omer lo kain harei galus ki maticha hayabol levacha. Ma'asehu bilti going lecha v'nasan tam l'dabra ani Hashem. Okay, fine. So really, what so I guess I'm looking at the time. I think I'm going to summarize some of these rather than read through them. But what the Or Chaim is saying over here, when he gets to the bottom, he's saying, why does it say Ani Hashem? Because at the end, if you remember the pasuk, I'll just make you dizzy again, go back up, and end with Ani Hashem, right over here. So coming back down, he's saying, you're supposed to love your neighbor like yourself. And this is something that's real in your heart or whatever, but what he's basing this on, his concept on the idea says Ani Hashem at the end of it, but there's explanation that we are, and I'm going to highlight it here, put it more in the center, Yichud Halavavas Mitziyachad Shemo Yisbarach. That we are really all part of one entity, all of our hearts together. Shekinah Yisrael Heim Anfei Shekinah Yisrael Heim Anfei Shem Heim Anfei Shem. So this idea of Anfei Shem means we all come from one. We're all part of a branch of one being. So I think this is I think from the Zohar. It's a little bit Kabbalistic, but the idea that if you view all the Jewish people as one tree, we're all branches that come out of this one tree. In fact, there's a medrash which has a similar concept, which goes through the idea of someone who is in a boat and starts digging some type of hole to cause water to come through the boat. And people on the boat saying, "What's going on? Why are you causing what are you doing there?" And he answers, "What's it to you? It's only under my seat. It's not going to affect you." And he said, "Of course it's going to affect us. The boat's sinking. We all go down with it." There is a concept, of course, that we're supposed to have be in it, this thing together. We're all together. And what the Or Chaim is pointing out, and what this Medrash points out, is that we're all one entity. That we're not a bunch of Jews just separate, not connected in any way. And we know this even leading up to Matan Torah. What does it say? And it says that we all encamp together, ki ish echad b'lev echad. And some people explain that means that that was a prerequisite to us receiving the Torah. We had to be unified and completely together before we could actually receive the Torah. So the Kamocha, according to the Or Chaim, means that I'm going to love you like I love myself, because it's like saying I love my ear like I love my nose. We're all part of the exact same being. And so therefore, as all our neshamas are together, and so therefore, of course, I'm going to love you like I love myself, because we are the same entity, and that's the kamocha. And therefore, of course, I wouldn't say, "Oh, I hate my hand so much, I'm going to, smash it with a hammer because I hate it." That doesn't make any sense. I would, of course, treat my hand with a good amount of care. Okay, so that's the Or Chaim. So far, we have two explanations, which, if I were be so bold, I would say maybe they're like ladders of spiritual understanding of what the word kamocha means. In one hand, it's v'yatzarecha kamocha means I will love you like myself. I see positive in you. I see positive in myself. I feel better about myself and have even more self-esteem just by virtue of the fact that I see positive things within you. That's point number one of kamocha. That's the Ramban. The Or Chaim seems to be saying that no, I love you like myself because we're all in this together. We are a unified being, one thing, and that's actually a prerequisite for receiving the Torah, that we have to be together all as one. And so therefore, this is what kamocha means, that we're all one entity. And in fact, it's not just I'll mention that a little bit later. Okay, that is two. So now we're going to Rashi. Of course, we should have started with Rashi, but if I'm doing the latter, I think we need to end with Rashi, at least in these Meforshim. What does he say? Amar Rebbe Kiva Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah. And there's songs written about this, children's songs, kumzit songs, whatever it is. We know this is a famous thing that Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah. In fact, at Torah Day School, said every single morning at morning assembly that V'yatarecha Kamocha Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah. And the kids, anyone kindergarten through fifth grade at any time through who attended Torah Day School has heard this and knows this. So what does this mean? And how does this? Because it seems a little bit big. Okay, so it's a great Torah and Torah. Be nice to one another. So if you come down here, where this comes from a medrash, and I'm going to skip through to this section here. Hold on one second. So this comes from medrash in Bereshis, which has I highlighted too much, but this is where it starts. Biyom bara Elokim, this is a pasuk in Bereshis Hey Aleph, which says that on this day Hashem created the created man. Okay, Rabbi Lezer says that this is really the Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah, that the concept of Zeh Sefer told us Adam. There was a miracle happened that on the first day, the three things happened. The man was created, we got married, and and a child was born all within the first day. Okay, so that Klal Gadol B'Torah. Rabbi Kiva disagrees and he says, no, it's not that. And this is famous thing. V'yatarecha kamocha zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah shelo tomar. So what does that mean, zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah? So that you don't say, sorry about the highlighting, so that you don't say, a person embarrassed me, so I will embarrass that person. It ends off, Amar Rebbe Tanchuma, explaining this, Im asisa kain dalamiatam avaza b'demus elokim asa oso. So the whole point, I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to actually get rid of all these highlights, can I? Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. The Moose Elohim. I'm just going to highlight. Okay. No, it's not letting me. Okay. Sorry about that. What it's saying over here is what this medrash is ending off with is that when Rabbi Kiva says Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah, Rashi's just pointing on to that one piece. But he's saying the reason why it's Zeh Klal Gadol B'Torah because we are all created with the Demus Elokim. You would be embarrassing or causing shame to someone who is Hashem if you treated them incorrectly or in a negative way. The Atarecha Kamocha, says Rabbi Kiva, means you are showing your kavod and your appreciation and your respect to Hashem himself, but in the way that you treat his creations. Okay? So that already is like a third level. So if we think about these things, we're thinking about the kamocha is 3 different levels. Is really three. There are 3 different levels of way we can treat each other and the way we can view our treating each other. And the kamocha. Kamocha means you have strengths, I have strengths. That's the Ramban, and therefore we don't have jealousy. We both have strong self-esteem, and we lift each other's up. That's what the kamocha is. Obviously, it's done differently, but that's what kamocha means. The Or Chaim saying that no, we're all part of one unified piece, and that piece is essential for us to receive the Torah because as it says, being camped. That's my piece about it, but that we're all one unified front. That's what it means. Kamocha. We wouldn't treat any part of our own physical body differently than another. We are all one entity. That's Kamocha. Rashi, in bringing this medrash from Rabbi Akiva, is saying that because we're all Demus Elokim, that's the Kamocha. We're all the same because we all come from the same source, and therefore mistreating someone would be mistreating yourself because we're also we also come from Hashem. Okay, so that may be 3 ways to view the concept of Kamocha when we hear Yatra Kamocha, a way of concept of Kamocha. So Rabbi Friedman said that we should pause at some point before we get into the concept of love. Is this a good stopping point? Rabbi Friedman, did you want to make a plug for something, or should
I
I go?
sure do.
Okay, great. I will let you do that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So I'm going to just make a short plug to tell you, first of all, happy to have all of your 14 participants here. And seeing this, everyone has been doing 3 mitzvos, the 3 mitzvahs that we engage in here. And number 1 is you're learning Torah. We're hearing a beautiful shir from Rabbi Cohen, and we're going to come up to V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, which is fantastic. So we're learning Torah. Number 2 is you're providing an audience for Rabbi Cohen to teach as a teacher. We all know that it's a mitzvah. You don't know how good all you students, all the listeners are. You don't know what you really, really do for the teachers, because, as they say, more than the calf wants to nurse, the mother wants to nurse the calf. The cow wants to nurse the calf. So it's a great honor. All the teachers love teaching Torah, and anyone that comes is really a wonderful thing. So you're doing a mitzvah, making all the teachers feel good. And of course, anyone that can stop into the website and make a donation to help support the shul. We've been doing really wonderfully on this, and really it's a low overhead affair. So all of your tzedakah money, I wouldn't say all of it, but a good 90 some odd cents in the dollar is going to support the shul and support our Torah outreach efforts. So please stop into the website, donate. You can donate in honor of Rabbi Cohen for this wonderful class, or in honor of anyone you want, any of the other teachers that are coming up. And please, during the next day and a half, please come back and encourage your friends to stop into the many more classes. This is all going to end. The last class is going to be brought to us by Rabbi New on 8 o'clock tomorrow night. 8 to 9 hour will be the closing hour tomorrow night. So just want to thank everyone, thank all of our sponsors, and turn it back over to Rabbi Cohen to finish up, to take us all the way into the noon hour.
Okay, great. Is my screen still shared? Because something changed on mine. Yeah, you can still see the.
No.
Rabbi Cohen, I think I accidentally
That's okay.
unshared you. I'm
That's
very,
okay.
very sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're back on.
I need to hide behind my screen again and behave myself. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's all good. All right. So now the question is, so we have this we kind of answered 3 different answers of the question of Kamocha. How is it like you? That we seem to have 3 different answers on, based on the Ramban, the Or Chaim, and Rashi's understanding of the Medrash, or Rashi bringing the Medrash. So the question we sort of left with, is this really encapsulate everything within Torah? Because again, this is only Ben Adam Lechavero. So it's it doesn't even encapsulate 100% everything that has to do with God. And then what does love have to do with it? You know, again, these are I treat you the way I want to be treated because of you know, how I feel about you in terms of your strengths and my strengths, the fact that we're all one entity, I wouldn't treat you negatively, and that you're the Mutz Elokim, that you're creative at Tzelem Elokim. So of course I'm gonna treat you in a positive way. So what does love have to do with it? So let's go to Orchat Tzadikim here, and we'll read through quickly some of the concepts. I'm going to read 3 different musars or philosophy ideas about love. One is Orchat Tzadikim. Orchat Tzadikim is a sefer which goes through different ways in which we can midos that we should hold on to in order to be, you know, follow the ways of tzaddikim. Follow the Orchat Tzadikim literally means that the path of tzaddikim. So one of them is love, and what's interesting, he starts out over here. He starts out by saying, okay, he starts out by saying that Avas kolels ma'asim rabim yosim mikol midos, fine. And there are times when a person can have the midah of love for evil. So ein midah ra b'kol hamidas kamahu. There's no negative or evil midah like love on any other midas. So what he's saying is that love is really bad. So this begs further the question of why is it love? Okay, we'll hold on. However, when a person does love the right way, it is better than all the other mitos. And he gives the pasuk v'afta Hashem es Elokecha, which begs another question. This is from Shema, of course. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. V'afta Hashem es Elokecha. Maybe that should be Zeklal Godel Torah. Maybe that should be where all the or what Hillel answered as to what the entire Torah is, that you love Hashem, because that seems to be the positive love. Okay, but there is this negative love. What are the negative loves? I brought a couple examples here that can cause damage. The one is the concept of a father loving his child or his son. That is a negative one. And he said the language he uses is very strong. The ata shema eicha ba miklolos ma'asem. How can love really mess up your actions? The eish yigbar avaso al chakma. So I backed up a little. Sorry. In the time that I'm going to do a different color here because we'll come back to that if I can. I guess I can. I'm going to highlight this right here. Sheyigbor avaso al chamasai. The time when the Abba grabs onto his chachma and is stronger. Right? Okay, great. So that is what is one example? The example is a father and a child. A father might love a child so much, or a person might love their child so much that they start doing things that don't make sense and come from the heart, and don't help the child find the straight path and the right way to act and live an appropriate, I guess, Toradic life. That would be and therefore there causes a lot of damage to the future of that child. Rather than they're doing that out of what they're calling love. Same thing, loving money so much, you'll do things that are not. So you can see what he's saying, and he lists a whole bunch of examples. I only brought two, but the idea is that there are types of love which, when they come from our heart, can lead us to do really not so good things, like cheating on people, like treating people so nicely that it's damaging to them, whatever it is. So he's saying love is not lust. Love, that type of love, I would say, is the love that means I love myself because I love being around this person or this thing so much that I'm going to make decisions that are not conducive to a Torah way of life. And when does that happen? He says sheyagber ahavaso al chamaso chachmaso, when the love takes over on our chachma, on our wisdom, our ability to think. Okay, so let's hold that thought for a second. Chavos Levavos, I just want to bring this in his introduction. Chavos Levavos is a sefer which is you have obligations, duties of the heart, obligations of the heart, meaning there are mitzvos which do involve the heart. But he said he searched the post-Talmudic writings, and he searched them and found three different categories of what rabbis write about, and he couldn't find anything that had to do with the heart. He searched, he couldn't find anything that had to do with the heart. So then he said, that's a little bit shocking to me, right? Because there are some mitzvahs that seem to have something to do with the heart. And then he said, well, maybe, you know what, maybe it's that there are mitzvahs, the mitzvahs that have to do with the heart, that are about loving Hashem, those, or whatever the mitzvah has to do with the heart, those are really above and beyond what you have to do. You know, there are mitzvahs that you're supposed to do, which are actionable mitzvahs that have to do with your limbs and all the things that you need to do. But the things that are that have to do with your heart, that's just above and beyond. Okay, maybe that's what he says. But then he ends up by saying, sorry, I just want to find it. He disagrees with that initial thought process, and he says, really, shechavti al chovos levavos min haseichel min hakasav min hakabal im anachnu chayim behem im love. Misasim shehem, and then he ends by saying this paragraph at least. Misasim shehem yisoda kol hamitzvos, right? And in fact, if you don't think about the mitzvahs that have to do with the heart and perform them correctly, so then you actually could be losing out. You could be losing out on all the mitzvahs that have to do with your limbs. So he says something very interesting, and this is just the introduction to the Sefer of how you actually use your heart, and he has a whole Sefer on just what does it mean to love in a Jewish way. But what he's saying is that the love is such an essential, foundational part of every single mitzvah, and if you don't include love in the way that you're doing your mitzvahs, you've completely missed the point. And all the mitzvahs that you're doing that are with your limbs, if they don't have love involved in them, they don't exist. Okay, well, let's hold on to that. We'll do one more. Similar vein. I see we're getting very close to running out of time, so I'll just wrap it up. But he says the same thing. This is from Derech Hashem, another Musar or philosophy saver, however you want to categorize it. V'hine mimash etzarich sheyigbar ha'adam ba'atzmo hu ha'ava v'yira l'boras Hashem yisbarach v'hainu sheyeh mizboinen al godel ramamois yisbarach. Right. So the way that you get to love, he says, is to start thinking about how great Hashem is. That's how you start. That's how you do it. Think how you are nothing compared to him, and therefore I love him. And that will allow you to be close to Hashem. To start thought process. So I want to go back. We don't have time to go through the rest of. Oh yeah. Well, okay. Fine. And then the final thing that he says in a different parak is the ava, love, he hamadvekis umiksharas esa adam beboiro. Okay, we'll leave it at that. That it connects you, and it basically connects you to Hashem. So Derech Hashem says two things, that it lifts you up by the way that you get to love is through thinking about how great Hashem is. This is love for Hashem, and that will actually bind you to Hashem by thinking about it. In fact, all the Chavos Levavos is what love it really is this idea of thinking through the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the greatness of Hashem. And he gives you many different ways of doing so. We could think about how amazing the concept of an economy is. If you're a money person, a financial person, you start thinking about how the economy works, it could floor you. And starting to think through all the aspects that are necessary for an economy to work. And you can do that with anything. You want to talk about building a building or what it takes to go to the grocery store and pick out the apple that you're going to pick out. And you think about all the steps that needed to happen in order for you to be able to get that apple with, building the building the apple is in, the farming and the seeding that need to happen, the trucking systems that have to be in place in order for the apple to get there. I used to live in San Diego, and we used to see all the bananas that I don't know all of them, but many of the bananas that came into the country, at least in that area, came on this incredibly large, what do you call those things? The ships that and I don't think I've ever seen anything bigger that all filled with bananas that are going to be distributed throughout the country. So it's just mind blowing to think about things like that. So that's one of the things you can think about is just when you start contemplating how great life is. That's really what love is. That starts connecting you because you have an admiration and appreciation of what Hashem is. That's what these this Bali Musar are talking about. That love is really a thought process. So you're supposed to constantly think through things. And so what they're saying is that that love is the foundation of every mitzvah. That we could go through the motions in life, not having any concern whatsoever. We could go through the motions and do it exactly to the T the way that we're supposed to, almost like robots. And that would be fine. We would get some amount of points and credit for it. But if we really want to not lose, and in fact, I'll stop sharing. I see them. If we really want to grab the most out of our mitzvah observance, we should do so with the thought of a Kadosh Baruch Hu while we are trying to. While we're doing those mitzvahs. That's what love is. So when we go back to our original question, okay, so what's love? Love is thinking through things. It's not the lust. It's not the desire to have something. It's not the fact that I love ice cream. It's thinking through the greatness of Hashem and the greatness of those things around us. So when we think through now the Atul Recha Kamocha and understand what makes this particular 3 words encapsulate the entire Torah, because it's telling us the Torah we need to think about others. And the way that we think about others is not just other humans, but the fact that other humans represent everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu stands for and everything that Hashem is, because we were created by God. That's Rashi's, the most highest level of things, that there's thought process, that we are in this boat together, either because we have, we're created by Hashem, or because we are a unified body, or because just we give each other a boost in self-esteem because we appreciate each and every who we are. But that encapsulates everything, that if we have that foundation of how we view each other and we view Hashem and we give thought to everything that we do and the world around us, then everything else is just commentary, because we'll be able to get through it with the right intent and the right way to go through things. So I know I'm ending up right now. We're at 58. I'm sure I'm supposed to conclude. But again, thank you everyone for coming in. But that is my bracha. Again, for everyone, as we go into Shavuos, that you're able to think through in a way that is real love, which is the thought process of everything around you, not only for Kodesh Baruch Hu, but for the people in your lives and all the Jews, thinking through them in these ways, which Amir Hashem will have a proper Kabbalah Satorah, even though we won't be in shul together.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeshikayach.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rabbi Cohen.